Hello everyone, this is Korosh Erfani and today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. We are reporting the 20th day of the war of Israel and the United States against Iran. In this program, I am going to try to unfold some subjects through which we can have an idea about what could be the worst case scenario. Okay, because today we had a major events. Israel and the United States started to bomb the south Pars gas-filled facilities belonging to Iran, of course, and from that moment it is possible to see a new escalation because Iran started to respond and targeted some facilities in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia. Of course, the price of oil soared, right? And we had a very red stock market in the United States and of course across the world. Right now we have a price of petrol that is almost more than 111 dollar right now for a barrel of petrol. And of course it is supposed to be much more if there is no solution from now to in, let's say, 24 hours with regard of this specific matter, which is bombing, yes or not, the gas and oil installation of Iran, which is right now under attack of Israeli and the Americans. And there was a kind of red line, and the red line had been completely destroyed by, let's say, by the initiative of Israel. And from that moment we can reach for something much worse, even though United States is trying now to say that we didn't really participated in that, but we don't want to have any escalation with this regard. So that's why President Trump made a kind of post in the Truth Social. As you can see, is talking about the fact that that was the task of or the action of Israel and not the United States, because he is trying here to say that we didn't know about that, right? Israel did it, what it said, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East. It's just a joke, but they want that we believe this joke, and of course he's at the same time trying to say something positive regarding Qatar and threat to Iran in order to prevent effectively the repetition of the same thing, which means the attack of Iran on the Qatari LNG gas facility, right? This is what Trump, the acrobatic operation that he tried to do it. But we got an article from the Axios here just a few hours, maybe 30 minutes ago, by the Israeli Barak Rabbit, and he's telling us that it's not true, and that President Trump knew and the United States knew that such an attack was going to be done, right? So that's why the only reason that is explained here in order to know why effectively what was the motivation of Trump to post such a on Truth Social and threatening Iran and trying to calm down Israelis is because the Qatari officials try to contact Trump and ask him to do something, right? Through Witkoff, CENTCOM commanders, other senior Trump administration officials, and they wanted to have a talk with Trump in order to request an explanation. What they wanted to know is that if the United States knew it or not. And of course, in his post on Truth Social, Trump is telling us that no, we didn't know, Iranian didn't know, Qatari didn't know, nobody, only Israelis. We know that's not true, right? It's not true for a simple reason, is that today we have been told that there is a conversation on a daily basis between Trump and Netanyahu to talk about everything with this ongoing war, and of course they decide about everything, including what had been done in Qatar. So the objective, this is where the things start to, to dim, to reveal, which is that they thought that such an action will help to open the Strait of Hormuz, right? Let me just quote this part. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump coordinated about the strike, and the aim was to try and deter Iran from continuing to disrupt oil supply through the Strait of Hormuz, Israeli officials said. So, once again, Trump is lying, right? Because he wants to have everyone. He wants to have Israelis because of Epstein file, most probably. He wants to have Qatari because of monies, So everything, and at the same time, nothing relevant. So this is how we are losing almost all the credibility of the United States on the international chessboard, right? In such a way that later it would be impossible, but literally impossible, to have any credibility for the United States through diplomacy or international relationship and so on and so on. And the people are really decrying it. They are talking about that everywhere, saying that what you are doing, here, for example, an analyst is telling us that, of course, Netanyahu brought Trump in a process in which the Americans are losing almost everything. Right? So that's the idea. Now the image that everyone has from the Americans is that they don't have any autonomy. They are not autonomous. They don't have any independence. And at the same time, we have an idea about what they are thinking about Israel, right? And we know that if we want, as I told you, to get an idea about what these two, Netanyahu and Trump, are able to do later and in this process, you can be sure that it's something extremely worrisome. And we are going to see why. Now, there is no doubt that Israel has a plan that doesn't have any compatibility with the human civilization. That's the most basic assertion that we can have in order to understand what would be the different possibilities that Israel and the United States will try to do in order to win this lost war. Right? There is no compatibility of the Israeli existence with the human civilization. Even though this assertion is too general, maybe too conceptual, but if we forget that as the basis, as the foundation of an argument, the argument will meet certainly, a kind of standstill, a kind of impasse. Why? Because you cannot explain what Israel is doing only and only through the intricacies of politics or military. No. There is really a fundamental problem, which is this absence of any kind of cohesion between what Israel represents and what human civilization in general, overall represents. Look at what the Colombian President Gustavo Petro is telling us regarding what Israel is and is doing. He says the war in Gaza was an experiment designed to intimidate the global South, right? To make fear to the global South that if you don't obey, if you don't comply with our request, we are doing the same thing that we have experimented in Gaza, right? To intimidate the global South, and is now spreading, right? Warning that the world is sliding into barbarism. Barbarism means the negation of civilization. It means the denial of anything that humans created during their few thousands years of civilization. And this is the reality of Israel. There is no doubt that they are able to do so, because right now, for example, Israelis are organizing the mass execution of the Palestinian prisoners in their prison. So what they are doing right now in Iran is the exact replicate of what they have been doing in Lebanon, and this one is a reproduction of what they have been doing in Gaza, and Gaza will be, and you arrive to 1940, 1930s and 40s, where the state of Israel had been created based on terrorism, on massacre, on mass killing, anything of this kind, in order to create this parasite, we can say, the real parasite entity that is Israel. Now, because of that, it's a fake country, it's a fake entity. You cannot find anything genuine in that country. Neither the people nor the government or the system. Nothing is genuine. All is a fabrication of the Zionists, the worst of the people, right? And they brought, I don't know, the Polish or the Russians from everywhere. They brought the people just to have a kind of parasite life over there. Parasite means not producing anything and being fed by something else. And this is what Israel is. Israel is depleting, many countries across the world, bringing money and everything else, resources over there, in order to assure the life of 8-9 million people over there that are living really and literally as the parasite, right? Now, because there is nothing authentic in that country, we can be sure that at any moment when this country enters a huge adventure, right? And the adventure is killing the people, for example, in Gaza. What's the cost? Almost nothing. Just the the makeup of the October 7, 2023 by Mossad, by IDF, bringing and entrapping Hamas fighters, and then killing 1,000 people by the Israeli army, killing 1,000 Israelis by Israeli army in order to have the justification to trigger a process that is supposed to completely annihilate Gaza, then the West Bank, then Lebanon, and then Syria, and so on till Iran. Right? That was the main plan from the October 7. Of course, some part of this agenda could go without any problem, right? They could get ahead with Gaza, killing 700, 800,000 people, according to some independent sources, right? And not the sources of again, the Mossad created organization that we call Hamas, right? And that is publishing 78,000 people dead in Gaza. No. Non-Palestinian, let's say no Hamas sources, the medical independent organization, the humanitarian medical organizations are talking about 700 to 750,000 people killed by Israel and under the rubbles. This is it. Anyway, this agenda was going on as pre-planned for Gaza. Then with the occupation, the total occupation of the West Bank. This is what they are doing on a daily basis. And then to completely destroy Lebanon. And finally, they found the opportunity good to launch the main part of the plan, which was going for Iran, and then collapsing and breaking it down and annihilating if possible. In order to do so, of course, they had a very good plan for President Trump, a president that Israel, don't forget that Israel and the Zionists installed in the White House, thanks to manipulation of the elections and the public opinion, thanks to 80 to 85 million genius people who voted for the enemy of the United States in order to be president. And Israel wanted that. Why? Because 3-4 decades ago, Mossad trapped this guy and made him do the things that are really filthy, making videos, photos from him, and using it to blackmail him, and having a real puppet in White House in order to, advance with the Zionist agenda, thanks to this filthy criminal guy, right? All right. They did it, and finally they brought Trump once in June 2025 for bombing the nuclear facilities of Iran, but it was not sufficient. That's why they were working more and more and more. Epstein files came up and took really a huge coverage in the media that are under control of the Zionists, and finally they could this time push President Trump to attack Iran. This is the war we are reporting, and we are in its 20th day. Now, the issue is that the plan didn't go really as expected, right? Because Israel was in search of a very decisive attack, thanks to American army, Israeli army, in order to get rid of Iran forever during, I don't know, a few hours, a few days. But now we are in the 20th day, and still there is no sign of any of the objectives that had been fixed to be achieved. Just today, Tulsi Gabbard was reporting to Senate that the Iranian regime has been degraded because it lost a lot of people, but at the same time remains intact. So no regime change, no destruction of the structure of power, the state, the institution, right? It's still there. The Iranian people didn't uprised, right? Because this is what they were waiting. There is not yet any sign of civil war in Iran. There is no mass emigration. There is no chaos. They are not starving, even though the conditions are extremely hard, right? With more than 1,500 people killed, 12,000 people injured, several thousands in habitation completely destroyed, more than 3 million people had to displaced, in order to look for security or safety. But still the entity is there, and the entity is functioning, is reacting, is attacking the American bases, the GCC over the region, and of course they are attacking permanently, almost on a daily basis, Israel. So not only the plan didn't go well, but the reaction of the Iranians starts to surprise completely the Zionist entity. Because as I told you, the Zionist entity doesn't have that much capacity for the war of attrition. And by the war of attrition, we are not talking about like Iran-Iraq war, 8 years, We are talking about a few days. We are still 10 days far from 1 month of war, and we can see that this entity starts to show the signs of cracks, right? Is somehow falling apart. Why? Because it's not a real entity. Because it's a fake entity. Because it's fabrication. Every citizen of Israel has 1, 2, 3 passports. They belong to other countries. They are there. Why? Because they have the possibility of living as a parasite, and they can have everything for free, paid by the American taxpayer, paid by all the monies that have been stolen by the Zionists and injected to Israel in order to produce and reproduce soldiers, the killers, the baby killers, for the IDF. That's the ultimate project of Zionists, creating a machine full of parasites and able to kill the people with the hope and in pursuit of exterminating the human race from the planet. That's the idea. That's all the glory of the Abrahamic religion, Abrahamic history. Meanwhile, we can see the fragility and the vulnerability of this entity. It's not a society, it's a gathering of people. And as a sociologist, I can tell you that when in a society you don't have the societal coherence and the social cohesion, social solidarity, the entity cannot really hold for a long time if it has to face a very bad situation where there are many pressures, threat, and affliction, misery, right? And I'm pretty sure that the Israeli society, if we can use the term society, the Israeli entity, the Zionist entity, this gathering of the parasites, cannot really hold for a long time if, for example, Iran can intensify, the firepower over there, and in this way put really in shambles the normal functioning of society or of the country. And this is what is going to happen. That's the bad news for the Zionists. This is exactly what is happening. I mean, if we evaluate what is going on over there through their economy and society, we can see that this is only and only because of this culture of, let's say, military life, because there is no social life, right? They are like the permanent soldiers during all their life, with 3 years, at least 3 years of the military service, and more than 20, 30 years as reservists. So it's a huge caserne, right, that they call country. And they try to fabricate the history, they fabricated God, religion, Moses, and a lot of garbage in order to create a kind of identity for this territory of the parasites. It doesn't work. The good news or the bad news, based on which side we are, is that it doesn't work at all. The God's chosen people now is facing an existential threat created by themselves, because the Iranians, look at what's happening during 47 years of the lifespan of the Islamic Republic. They didn't send even a little rock over there, right? There was never an existential threat coming from Iran against Israel, let alone against the United States. The issue is there. The motivation is there. The Zionists. They created a war machine that is called the country, or Israel, I think, and they want to conquer more and more territories, and by territories they mean more and more natural resources, thanks to this machine, this war machine, this military machine. Cruel, careless, reckless, heedless, wild. All right. But the core of the problem is that this model is not working. And now they are entrapped. They don't have a real choice here. Either for what they have started 20 days ago, either they have to accept that they failed, that the Iranian strategy prevailed over the Israeli-American lack of strategy, let's say, and what is unfolding in front of us is that Tel Aviv and Washington don't have any precise idea about how to end that, how to stop that. And let me tell you, because they cannot stop, and please pay attention to this point, because they cannot find any endpoint for this completely erroneous process based on the untrue foundations, Iranian existential threat, or the things like that, because they cannot find any exit point. They have to continue. So if you ask yourself why they are, dragging this war to more and more days and weeks, simply because there is no any getaway. They cannot escape what they have started. They cannot walk away. Because walking away, putting an end to this war means accepting the total victory of Iranians, right? That's the only thing that can mean. Otherwise, I don't see anything else. Iran is there just to survive. Through survival, it can become victorious, right? It can be considered as the one that defeated the other side. So, as there is no any exit plan, because any exit plan means total humiliation and total defeat for Israel, for the Zionist entity, with all 8-9 million parasites over there, and for the United States as the mighty superpower, the highest level of military force, and so on and so on. Look at how humiliating it could be when we think about the significance of such a thing, accepting that we cannot do anything with Iran. We cannot change the regime. We cannot topple down the regime. We don't have. We cannot have access to the 420 kilogram uranium. We cannot stop Iran from enriching uranium. We cannot stop them to produce more and more missiles, drones. So we didn't get anything, any point, just destroying a part of the country, ruining partially Iran, but beyond that, nothing, but absolutely nothing. Can you imagine that such a thing could be acceptable for these reckless people like Trump, like Netanyahu? My answer is no, they cannot accept that. Professor Jeffrey Sachs was talking about Trump as a clinically psychopath. And believe me, as someone who wrote a book on psychopaths, I have a book that's called Psychopathology. I know that this kind of people with a totally deranged mind, an insane and crazy mind, these kind of people are not able to make any rational decision. And we have a lot of proof that is telling us that this guy is able to do whatever is necessary to worsen the situation in order to avoid just the acceptance of defeat and loss. The acceptance of the fact that Iran won. Iran is winning the war. So let me show you some of the proof that not only there won't be any end for this war, but this, the whole situation will worsen, right? Degrading more and more toward a catastrophe, a real catastrophe, as opposed to those who think that there is a solution. Somehow, somewhere there is a solution. We can see just by a little, objective approach that there is no solution. There is solution when you can really have the people who understand responsibility, ethics, principles, something like that. But talking about Netanyahu, a phenomenon that we cannot qualify of, even psychopaths, is something much beyond. And this guy according to Jeffrey Sachs, clinically psychopath, of course we must be waiting for wars. Now let me show you the proof here. The Washington Post is reporting in exclusive that the Pentagon asked the White House to approve a more than $200 billion request to Congress to fund the war in Iran, according to an administration official. Right? $200 billion, which means 1/5 of the annual budget for Pentagon, for the defense, or the Department of War, as they said, 1 trillion, now an additional of 200 billion. So we know that with 200 billion, you don't want to end the war immediately, as Trump is telling here and there that will be very soon. There is no such a thing. And let me tell you why they need this $200 billion. Here, the different sources are reporting that Trump administration is awaiting a major military escalation in Iran. Major military escalation. Considering deployments of thousands of additional U.S. troops as the war enters in its third week. So Reuters is reporting from U.S. official and 3 people familiar with the matter. They are telling us that there are many options, and some of them are under discussion, including securing safe passage for oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, through air and naval forces. So you see that what they are planning is huge, and that's why, at least for the beginning, they need 200 billion. Of course, after a few days, 1 or 2 weeks, they will ask for an additional, maybe double, 400. Deploying U.S. troops to Iran's shoreline, you see, and sending ground forces to Korosh Island, the hub for 90% of Iran oil export. So 3 major axes of operation, right? First, going through the air and naval force in order to open the Strait of Hormuz, and then to deploy U.S. troops to the Iranian shorelines, in the south, and then sending ground force to Korosh Island in order to take over where Iran is exporting 90% of its oil. So we are talking about, what was the word? Quagmire. We are talking about the American quagmire, because if you study the history of the Vietnam War, that's almost exactly the same process, the same pattern. You start with a little thing, and nothing is really in the good direction. So you say that we have to make a kind of shift, right? So you are going to pay for more forces, weaponry, soldiers, munition, and so on. And you see that again, it doesn't really move forward. So you have to add, and finally at the end of the war you have 500,000 soldiers over there, but not able, to do whatever that can be considered as achievement or accomplishment of any objective. This is how it is. Here it says one U.S. official described the Korosh Island operation as very risky. This is what the people like Scott Reeder is telling us, that You cannot have such an operation over there where there is a huge firepower of the Iranian forces waiting for you, expecting for you. You know, that would be a massacre. That would be a slaughterhouse of the American soldiers. And don't forget, they are preparing the grounds for such level of casualties. Look at here. So we have been informed that the United States has decided to make the funeral procession of soldiers killed in the war with Iran completely secret, with cameras strictly prohibited. No camera, right? Why? Because they know there are dozens and dozens coming, and once the boots on the ground start over there, there would be hundreds and hundreds of body bags coming here, right? $200 billion in order to send the young American people over there to be killed for the Zionists, for the Israelis, for the parasites. Look at this report. Very interesting. An American nurse based in Germany tells AF, Agence France Presse, that the casualties wounded and deceased coming into Germany from the Middle East are, quote, far higher, unquote, than what is being reported. Okay? So, which means that already Americans are dying over there or getting wounded in mass. And they don't want to tell us the reality because of military censorship, exactly the copycat of what Israelis are doing in their country, and the preparation for the absence of any camera when the bodies arrive here. So no more camera, no more reporting, no more journalists for the funeral processions, right? This is how they are getting ready to, sink in this quagmire created by the Zionists in order to sacrifice completely the American empire for the advantage and interest of Israel, in order to create the greater Israel, and through the greater Israel conquering the whole world, removing the human race from the planet, and establishing the Jewish supremacist global government, and getting all the natural resources only and only for the God selected people. Now, is it something that can really go through? Is it a process that we are going through actually or not? This is a very important question, because there are the indicators that are telling us that while they want to do so, you remember yesterday I tried to describe my analytical model, in which I said that the only issues that this agenda, this anti-human, completely anti-civilization agenda has, is that it's very costly. They have to spend already for a few days of war $200 billion they need. So what about going there, building the grounds, and from that moment being engaged and involved for months, and maybe as Vietnam's years? How many they have to pay? Yesterday already they have passed the red line or the bottom of 39 trillion dollars as the national debt of the United States. Now we are above 39 trillion dollars, and of course with 200 billion additional and everything that they are spending very soon, just in a few weeks, not even months, we will be at 40 trillion dollar, which means that we are now much above the whole GDP of the American, and of course the last time it happened, it was in 1928, and we got the famous great crisis of the American economy. So we are going there. Just to give you an idea about how we are engaged toward the worst case scenario. That was the initial question of our program today. And what the Israelis are doing, is to bring everything toward the unavoidability of this worst case scenario. This is how Israel functions. It creates the conditions in which you don't have any way, even though you want that, you desire that, you are eager to, you don't have any way to flee, and you cannot run off. So the worst option becomes somehow unavoidable, inevitable. You cannot, get around. You have to go through that. They facilitate, they assist you, Israelis. They assist you to go there, to be entrapped, and then they leave you because they are sure that now you are set to do whatever they want, and you cannot do anything. Like Epstein files, once you are in, once you know that they have more than several hundreds of the worst, filthy, dirty, photos and videos from you, of course you are in hostage. Of course you do whatever they want. Of course they can blackmail you till bringing down completely your country or doing whatsoever. They can devise this kind of situation on the basis of their experience, on the basis of their nastiness, and on the grounds of not having any attachment to morals, ethics, or whatsoever. They can do that, and they do that, because they did that. For decades or centuries, they were doing that. Now, let me develop a point that is fundamental for our discussion. If the cost is very high, it can put in question your plan, because your plan needs to be supported financially and politically, right? So politically means by Congress, for example, having the majority, having the Republican Party, having the MAGA with you, and so on. Okay, but financially, you need money. In order to get money, you have to go and ask from where the money is. And the money is here, right? In the American Treasury. And the guy who is in charge of this institution came today in order to say that nothing is going really in the right direction right now in the American economy. Jerome Powell is telling us there is zero net job creation in the private sector, which means that we are going to have a real unemployment crisis in the United States. the job creation is at the minimal and the loss of job is at maximum, right? So the discrepancy is such that hundreds of thousands of Americans will be very soon either fired or laid off, or in a huge precarity. They cannot really afford anything essential for their life. This means millions and millions of people are losing their home, and whatever we can consider as the minimum necessary for life. Right now we have the highest level of the people who cannot really pay their credit card for the first time after several decades, right? The highest level of those who cannot pay back, pay off their credit card. And we are talking about the situation just after 20 days of war. And the other side, the Iranians, are talking about the possibility or the eagerness to continue this war for how long that's necessary, days, weeks, months. And this is the equation that I explained yesterday. For one part that is resisting in front of the cannibals who wants to put an end to the human race on the planet, the resistance doesn't cost that much, but destruction of civilization, the destruction, the annihilation of the human race on Earth cost a lot of money. And we said that this inequality, this discrepancy, let's say, this discrepancy is the only chance that we have in order to change the situation and maybe to turn around, the whole thing. Look at how the people are describing this, the equation. This guy is telling us this: I predict they will soon move Trump to a secure location. This is an American is talking about. Okay, why? The American people are about to be financially decapitated by his illegal war waged for Jewish billionaires and pedophiles, and they will react unfavorably, right? So we can see the first signs of kind of unease in society among the people who are talking about the affordability of life, let's say unaffordability of life, and they will be able, of course, to give rise to the protests. I am pretty sure that once the Americans are completely desperate from the perspective of waiting till November for a probable election, not very sure, because I am pretty certain that Israelis are preparing the false flag in order to create the possibility of state of emergency for Trump in order to cancel the elections. They are working on that seriously right now, right? This is what they are doing. And if Americans are really desperate, they will uprise, they will protest, and we are going to have serious social unrest. Believe me or not, in my analysis, in my opinion, very soon. I'm talking about a few weeks. Why? Because if we have the confirmation of the price of oil, Here you can see just before starting the program, it was around $111. So this is going to give, let's say, something like between $5 to $6 per gallon for the gas here in the United States. So with the possibility of increasing to 120, 30, and 50, we must be waiting here for the price of the gas, something between $7 to $9 per gallon, right? So can you imagine for how long American people can really afford that? Can be with that? Because right now the inflation starts to go up, and most probably we are going to have something like 4 to 7, 8% of inflation in the coming weeks. And of course, with all the news regarding the crisis in the agricultural production for food, that would be even more. Some sources are talking about the possibility of 10% of inflation for the specific items, like food, the basic, items of food for the people. 10%. Because right now, in order to afford something for a family of 4 people, the parents and 2 children, you must have at least $140,000 as annual income to just cover the minimums, which means let's say more than $10,000 income per month. We know that for the majority of the American, this is something unimaginable. It's not the case. It's for more cases just half of that. Which means that millions and millions of Americans will be really in affliction very soon for affording a house, shelter, food, gas, insurance, and so on and so on. So even though the crazy psychopath people are organizing the things that are horrible, literally horrible and horrific, we must be able to see and measure and evaluate somehow, because that's very important to assess objectively the feasibility of their agenda. And I'm telling you, they won't be able to go through their agenda. That's why to come back to our initial question regarding what would be the worst case scenario and why we are going there, at a given moment when they realize that they lost the war of Israel and the United States against Iran. They are losing the war. The Iranians are prevailing over them, and at the same time they are going to lose almost everything for the domestic issues inside their countries. Double loss for Netanyahu in Israel, double loss for Trump and the Republicans here. That would be a suicidal situation, right? Why suicidal? Because at that time, this guy, again, because he's clinically psychopath, he would be able to do the worst. He would be able to act, to realize the worst case scenario, which is, as you know, to nuke Iran. And from that moment, we don't need any more discussion. We don't need any more to go through the intricacies and complexity of this discussion. Why? Because it won't be relevant anymore. In the aftermath of the usage of the first nuclear bomb in Iran, we are in a new era of the human history, which will have a very short remaining lifespan, just a few days, a few weeks or months, and after that there won't be anything that we can consider as life, human species, being alive, nothing, and then that would be the real end of history. For millions or billions of years, because of the nuclear world war, and of course all these discussions, subjects, topics, and everything that we did as human efforts would be vanished, completely vanished, only and only because of the parasites that are gathered in a fake country that is called Israel, and they think that they are the God-selected people, and they can afford everything they want. They can do everything they want, including putting an end to the existence of human race on Earth. And this is what they are doing right now. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please help me to share this video and getting more and more viewers. We need to have a better idea about what is going on in a deep level, right? Beside, of course, everything that is presented in the different news outlets, we need the analytical tools in order to have a better understanding of this situation. This is what I am trying to do. I hope that you can enjoy watching this video, and you can participate for sharing these ideas over social media. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye bye.